What's up, guys? It's your girl Matt Cox from Maccouture Crafting. Guess what? I went to my first quilt retreat. I just did a video. Hopefully, that video comes out before this video so I don't sound crazy. But I went to my first quilt retreat, and one of the things that we participated in, was a fabric fairy. And what that is they give you an amount that you're not supposed to go over, and you buy something for a person who's filled out a questionnaire, and you kind of make it. You can make a gift, you can buy them things, you can buy them fabric. They call it fabric fairy. I did not want to be that person who people don't want to get next year. Like, oh, I hope I don't get her because she gave me a pencil and the next person next to me has a Mont Blanc. We don't, I didn't want to be that person. And I'm kind of over the top in many ways anyway, right, guys? So just know that about me. I always want to go big. So I was thinking and thinking and thinking about the person that I had. And so one of the things that I did was reached out to somebody a mutual friend that we both know. And I asked what they liked, some personal stuff. Like the questionnaire was cute, but I didn't fill out mine great, and I feel like everybody else didn't fill out theirs great either. Well, not everybody, but me. It was like, what kind of fabric do you like? Oh, I don't know, free spirit, because technically you could buy me anything free spirit and I'm going to be happy with it. So, but I just didn't go in depth. Like I need curiouser and curiouser, the queens in red. I didn't give them a lot to work with. It was kind of loosey goosey, and I felt like my person did the same thing. Like it wasn't. I mean, she told me what she liked, but I just didn't have a vision for it. And I think going around and really doing research was tons of fun. So I researched my person, and I talked to her friend, and she says that she liked domestic beers, or I don't know what, I don't know. I have no idea if they're domestic, but the beers, they're in a bottle, they're neat. She likes those. And so I thought, okay. So what I decided to do was a like fabric cake. Yeah, I guess you call it that. So I started with a charger. Then I took the beers and I tried to make sure that they were all the same height relatively. I wrapped them in Cape fabric. Then I put a styrofoam layer on top of them. You know those layers that you see at Michael's and Joann's at the craft stores. So that it looks like a cake. So I started building like layers of cakes. I put styrofoam, I wrapped the styrofoam in fabric. I did like little triangle folds, and then I just pinned them with with the dress pins. Matter of fact, here they are right here. Just some little straight pins. If you have not seen people do like ornaments and dress styrofoam with fabric, like one of the ways that they do it is just stick in those straight pins. So I took some fabric, I wrapped it around, threw some pins in it. I folded it to kind of give it a little look, kind of look like a crown. Then the next layer were some charm squares. In the center of the beers at the bottom, I forgot, I put a fat quarter roll. Um, and I wanted to be sure not to press or do anything crazy to the fabric squares that I folded, because I used a charm pack to do the outside layer of the styrofoam. Then the coolest part, in my opinion, was the box that I did on top. I just showed you guys that I'm trying to make fabric boxes. So I did a K facet fabric box that sits on top of the other cake. So we have the bottles at the bottom. Then we have a styrofoam full of charm squares here. Then we have some charm packs that it's sitting on. And then we have another small styrofoam cake that also has charm squares around it. And then sitting on the top was a small box. And inside the box, I did a handmade ornament that had their name on it. And then the back of it said, "From me." And that was the cool part, because the box matched the ornament, in my opinion. And it's the holiday season, and I know that they celebrate Christmas. So I was super duper 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 excited. But at the same time, traveling with that was a little scary. So I had used command strips to command strip the bottles to the charger. Then I just glued it with a hot glue gun to the styrofoam, because I figured when they were ready to use the beers and drink it and stuff, they would just break it apart. Not a big deal for me. I wrapped it in a ton of um, cellophane, bright yellow cellophane, and put a huge K facet bow on the front, which might be my favorite part actually. That bow was usable, so they can gift it to somebody, they can put it on their holiday tree, they can do whatever they want to do, but they have a big, beautiful, finished. And I love that Quilters get it, because when she saw it, she was like, my mother would be so proud of this bow. She said, because it's finished. It's a finished bow. I do a nice bow. Oddly enough, I don't do the bows that I wear, but I'm not going to get into that. That's a story for another day. And it's so much fun, guys. You get to hide it around, or you get it so that they, you put it out so that they don't know who the person is. I also cut their name in K Facet fabrics with my Cricut and like made like a name tag that was specifically for them. So when she looked at it, she saw the bow, she figured it was me, but then she was like, but I don't know, like she doesn't know me well enough to get anything that's specific to me. So then she thought it was somebody else. So much fun, guys. Fabric Fairies kicked butt. I am so glad I went the extra mile because everybody went the extra mile. So there's a quilter that is a true artist, and I got a chance to sit next to her. She made a true art piece, a true, true, true art quilt for her person, and I wanted it. I wanted it so bad, guys. I don't know where this theft feeling came from. Like I'm not a thief. I've never been a thief. I don't have a stealing bone in my body. But all of a sudden I want to steal stuff because I wanted that quilt so badly. It was an art quilt. It was small. I think I have a picture of it. It was made from pine burrs and it was pristine and it was purple and it was amazing. So she got that, and then I think she got her some fabric. Then it's funny because they had each other, they didn't know it. She made her another super cute quilt, like super duper duper cute, and gave her some fabric and some stuff and some cute little things. Um, Phil, who is the man, and I love that we got a chance to just meet each other and just find out more about one another because he's amazing. But we knew he was amazing. I talk about him all the time. His quilts are sick, guys. Like, he's just on another level, and it's crazy because he's brand new and he's like a savant. I think he's just amazing. But anyway, he made a fairy with fabric, like a fairy, and hung it from the ceiling above the his person's station. You guys, so cute. I hope I have a picture. I think I have a picture of it. If not, I'm gonna steal one and insert a picture here. What else? Me. No. Phil's fairy was super concerned because I knew who Phil's fairy was. And she was so concerned that she wasn't going to give him something that he enjoyed because he's so good and we all know it. And so it was intimidating. But she handmade something. And if you're ever going to give away something handmade, give it to somebody who makes stuff. They get you. And he like started using it. Like she made him a pin cushion, but not just any pin cushion. One of those juicy juice, itty bitty. It was a work of art and it was so cute. And the basket, the presentation with like chips and candies and stuff, you guys, everybody just went above and beyond. And matter of fact, her fairy made her a bag that I want to make so bad. She made her the H bag and filled it with stuff. And what was cool about that is the person who got her has a very, 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 very similar style. Have you ever seen somebody get a present that they absolutely love from the moment that they saw it? She went crazy when she saw that bag. I went crazy when I saw that bag, and their style is nowhere near my style, but I want that bag. I want to make that bag. I have so many ideas for that bag, the H bag by Orange Dot Quilts, I think. Yep. And she made it in a fabric that she loved, and she just loved on it so hard. She was carrying it all around. We're taking pictures outside with it. People were so gracious, and they just, oh, it was so much fun. My fabric fairy is the one person that I knew, and I had no idea who it was. It was the best tailor-made gift for me because they actually made stuff, but they did the research. They watched the videos. Excuse me. Mm, I love tea, and she knows that I love tea because she made me a mug rug. She watched my video. She was like, "Well, you tell everybody everything that you want and that you have and everything else." And she's so right, and she did the work, and it just was the best gift ever. First of all, the bag said, "Fall is my season," and you guys know fall is my season. That's when I come alive. Um, it was full of chips and candies and sodas. That's me. She made me a Tula pink trash can with the pen holder. You guys, I wanted one so badly. I just didn't want to make it, but I wanted one bad. And she made it, and it's lined, and it's just now I have a trash can, and it's Tula pink, and it's super cute, and it's super me. And the mug rug is from a block from a quilt that she's working on for a kid. that I'm obsessed with. It just was, she got me Aurifil thread, and you guys know I'm too cheap to buy Aurifil thread. It just was such a thoughtful gift. People went above and beyond for their people, and it was great to see. Nobody was trying to cut corners or anything like that. And it wasn't required that you participate, so you sign up for it. And now it was so good that I hope that they do like a Christmas exchange. I would love to make something for somebody. I would love to do a gift exchange for somebody that doesn't know that it's coming or doesn't know who it's coming from, so that I could do this box. Next Fabric Fairy is getting this box. If you see this box, it's for me because I want to make this box specific to whomever I get. So hopefully we'll be able to do one of those. And that's it. I just wanted to tell you guys about gifting and how to gift, and don't be intimidated, and give you some ideas. We were all kind of nervous because a lot of us, this was our first time going to a retreat and we weren't sure what to expect. But people went above and beyond for their Fabric Fairy gifts, and it was fun. It was so much fun. And making ornaments, I think, is a really cool idea for people if you're looking for what should I do. And guess what? I've got some videos about making ornaments coming up. All right, guys, I will catch you guys on the next one. Okay, bye-bye. All right, guys. So that is the K Facet box. I am so obsessed with this box. Shout out to Greg, who is the head of our guild, the Los Angeles Modern Quilt Guild, for telling me to adhere the fabric to the paper, because originally I had taken the fabric and I put it on all these different interfacings and it was a mess. And getting fabric to behave like paper is very easy when you adhere it to paper. And I love the fact that if you're using a Cricut, you can put the paper side down on your mat, which increases the longevity of your mats. So going ahead and fuse your fabric to the paper however you want. I used fusible interfacing, so I just ironed it on there. It was a light touch and it worked perfectly, and I'm very, very pleased with these results. And again, look at that mat. It still looks pristine. When you put fabric side down on the pink Cricut mat, it seems to wear out that mat very, very quickly. And now I can get the fabric to behave like paper. Look at me, I'm folding the score lines. This is a box that I've done a million times. It is my all-time favorite box. The pattern is by S as in Sam, V as in Victor, G as in Go, Cuts. I have been a very, very, very long time user of theirs, and this is in their large box, and it's the Apothecary. It's called the Apothecary Box. So it's in their large box set, and in the set, this is called the Apothecary Box. And it slopes down, and it's just the cutest box ever. I've told the story a million times about how I made a bunch of these boxes for one holiday, and everybody had to get gifts that could fit inside the box, which is crazy, but I'm me. And so it's been a while since I've put together one of these boxes, so I did a couple steps incorrectly, which isn't a big deal because it still came out beautifully. And I'll show you where I went left upcoming. So of course you just fold on all the score lines. This takes 7 sheets, technically it's 7 sheets, but I did a little bit of altering. I didn't want to put fabric on the inside of the boxes, so for anything that was going on the inside, I went ahead and cut that out of regular paper. And I adhered this to cardstock. It is 100 pound. It's actually, I think this is 80 pound cardstock that you get from Michaels. It's very inexpensive, which is interesting because this fabric is not inexpensive. But nonetheless, and I just follow the pattern. Again, I'm sure I have another video on how to put this box together because it's one of my absolute favorites. I just love the way that it comes together. You can't tell right here, but the back of the box is much longer than the front of the box. And for this piece right here on the inside, again, I cut that out of regular cardstock. I just wanted it to be simple on the inside, nothing too major. And I decided to adhere the outside of the box before doing the inside. Look at how it comes together. Isn't this fabric just breathtaking? I believe these are patterns from his newest release, K Facet's newest release. I am a huge K fan. I love flowers, I love florals, and I love geometrics, and so I like to mix them, and apparently so does he. So this box is full of color. There are a million different combinations of color that we can do. This is not a box that I would put together for everybody. This takes a little bit of time. There are some people who are willing to do that kind of work for everybody. I'm just not really one of them. This would be for the special people, for the people in my life who would appreciate something like this and would notice how cool it really is. I can't wait to post this and see what kind of feedback I get because it's the holiday season and I think it's the perfect time for projects like this. Like, this is totally glue gun season. I'm using Art Glitter Glue here. It is my favorite all-time paper to paper glue, but it also works with fabric and it's a quick hold. So I put a little bit down. I have that fine tip nozzle on there right now. I end up taking it off because it's clogged. It needs to be cleaned and I didn't feel like doing it. So at some point, I did end up removing that fine tip nozzle that comes with it. I get it off of Amazon, and it's literally called Art Glitter Glue. And it's not just for glitter, it does dry clear, but it's quick. And if you're ever doing paper crafting, this is the glue that I suggest you use. So again, I'm just folding on those score lines, and I'm putting this box together the same way that I've done a million times before. Again, I really like this box. There are a couple others that I like too, and you can do this with any of the boxes. Just adhere the paper to the fabric or the fabric to the paper and go for it. If you have a ton of scraps, this is the way to bust your scraps down. This is the perfect way to bust down your scraps. Throw some fabric on some paper and get your Cricut, your Silhouette, your Cameo machines out. Grab some SVG Cuts and go to town. I don't think people really think about using them in this way, but I think it's a really cool idea. There's so many different patterns that you can use, and going forward, I think I'm really going to start playing with combining the two. I mean, paper crafting is my jam anyway, and so getting to be able to marry the two together just brought me so much joy, guys. I used the rotary blade for this. I think it just gives it a bit crisper cut, but you can certainly use your deep cut blade, not your deep cut, just your regular cut blade. So if you have a Cricut Explore 3, you can do it. I'm using the Maker 3. I have the most recent Cricut. The Cricut Maker can handle this too. Either one is, I mean, any of their machines actually can handle this because the paper is adhered to the fabric. So you can go on ahead and use your regular blade. I did a couple of test cuts with just a regular blade as opposed to the rotary cutter, and it worked just fine. It's a little cleaner with less flyaways with the rotary cutter than the regular blade, but the regular blade does work. Here is where I went awry. I should have put the panels on the sides of the box right now, but I didn't. Instead, I was too excited to put the bow part on because I'm a bow girl. I was just too excited. So the front and back panels did not get put on, which would have given it 3 dimensions of color in that area down the front, on the top, on the lid. Not a big deal. I was not crying about it, but it would have been cuter, I think, with that third color. If you look at the black and white fabric that I use, if you look at it closely, it actually says K Fasten on it. I don't know how many people really realize that. I really like that fabric, and I'm probably going to need to hoard a little bit of it. And I give myself permission because it's black and white. I'm allowed to hoard black and white fabric. Everything else must go. Must go. So here's me unclogging the tip, and then a whole bunch of glue comes out. Not a big issue. And I'm just taping it around the top and the front, and then just pulling it around the back. This is an excellent pattern. I think it's so well done, and it really does just line right up with the little nooks and crannies and comes right up to the top of the back. And you just do a little bit of wiggling. Another reason why I like to use wet glue is because you got some time to wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. just to make it, you know, stay. And again, this glue does dry quickly, but it is a wet glue, so it gives you, you know, you can wiggle it kind of into place. And then I'm looking at it like, oh no, I can't pull that apart. So what? So then I just glued the panels on the side. You can totally see which ones go where. And now it's bow time. You guys know how much I love bows. It's part of my brand. I wear them all the time. And so anytime I get a box, I'm probably going to put a bow on there. And I love that this is a K facet bow. And I love that it's made out of paper. So I'm putting a nice dollop of glue on the back here. And this bow is made to have a little dimension. So the back part is flat. The the bow part, the tie in the middle, sits flat. However, you'll see in the picture that the middle part does kind of curve up. You'll see. I know that sounds crazy. You're like, what? But the back sits flat on the box. And what I'm touching with my right hand, it actually bubbles up. So it's got some dimension to it. It's just the way that you're supposed to put it together. You'll see. And that's pretty much the box. As that's pretty much the box. It goes together pretty quickly. It's not that many pieces. It's self-explanatory, but again, I believe that I have another tutorial. The box is about 7.5 inches tall and about 7.5 inches wide. It is widest part at the bottom. It's just darling. I walked into a bridal shower with this box. I put a negligee inside, and it was worth just, I mean, oh, it was just the best. People were stopping and asking and loving on it. It's just cute. So if you get a chance, I suggest you try this box. Now we're going to skip ahead to my fabric fairy gift, and I'm going to show you guys how I put that together. But you can see there, it's kind of got like a puff to the center. See? It's got a little shape. All right, there's that big K facet bow with the matching name tag. And here is what the gift looks like without all that cellophane on it. So let's get to it. This is that foam that I was talking about. You can get it from any of your craft stores. You can probably even get it from the Dollar Tree. I haven't been in my Dollar Tree. My Dollar Tree is raggedy, so I don't go in there often. But it probably is more cost efficient. Styrofoam is randomly kind of expensive, so try to use a coupon if you can. And I just folded it in half and then folded it to a point. And I decided that how far I wanted to put it down. And then grab some straight pins. I'm going to use my tape measure here just to make it kind of consistent around the side. So I'm going to do 1.5 inches down. That feels right. So I just grab a marker, go all the way around, and just kind of tab it just so that I know where not to go further down. Fold it into a little point, and this is where we have some fun. Now you can put as many on here or as few on here. I did two. I don't think I took a whole, yes, I used one full charm pack. And these charm packs are inexpensive. I want to say they were 10 bucks a piece for a charm pack, which isn't bad. And so I started off just going tip to tip, seeing where I landed. I did not measure. Um, I didn't try to figure out how many will go around. Nope, just making it nice and easy. I also didn't press these just in case the person who I'm giving it to wants to actually use their charm pack and they might want to do some kind of quilt with it or whatnot. And I love that this is a K facet charm pack because it's so many different colors and variations and it's not plain. Although you might want to go for a plain look, you might want to go for something more pristine like an all black cake, which is something that I've toyed with the thought of doing. It's just a bunch of black squares that are pristine, um, like Lavielle did with her pine burrs. And then I got tired of putting charm squares around, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. So I grabbed some ribbon from my stash, and I also cut a circle that I believe the widest one was 8 inches, and then the other one was 6 inches. So I just used my Cricut to cut a circle 8 inches wide, and then 6 inches, and then just dropped it at the top so that you couldn't see that styrofoam. Just gives it a finished look. So I covered the rest of the white part with ribbon. Again, that I had in my stash. I think that's 1.5 inch ribbon, and then just pinned it in place too. So now I'm doing the same thing for the smaller styrofoam cake. And as you can see, this cake is like 4 inches thick. It's a big one. It's a big one. And I do the exact same thing. And instead of using 1.5 inch ribbon on this one, I think I used 2.5 inch ribbon at the bottom. And the ribbon that I used on this particular layer was decorative. And you'll see a couple of the pictures now of kind of what it looked like when I was finished. Again, for the bottles, I just measured the height of the labels and then cut some fabric and just covered it with them. And there we go, thinking about it. And that's what I ended up doing. These are the bottles. I just cut some like 4.5 inch strips and just covered it. Bam, Case Facet Beer. And there they are, all covered on that charger. Charger's a plate, guys, just in case you didn't know, a decorative plate. And there we are with the matching ornament. And the back says my name. It looks the exact same and it matches. And here's a little box that I made with K-facet panels, which also matches. And that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There will probably be more random things to come. And I will check you guys out on the next one. And be safe and tell me if you try any of these or if you think you might want to try any of these. Bye-bye.